Every major religion on earth converges on the same strange instruction: stop, do nothing. And the timing is never random. It's always after something has been set in motion. The Sabbath is one of the most misunderstood concepts in all of Scripture. Most people treat it like a scheduling recommendation. Go to church, take a nap, avoid your inbox. But the original Hebrew text describes something far more specific: a deliberate cessation that follows an act of creation. And if you've been struggling to manifest anything in your life, this distinction might explain exactly where the process keeps breaking down. The Genesis account follows a precise sequence: 6 days of creative work, then a 7th day of rest. But look closer at what rest means in this context. The Hebrew word is shavat. It means to cease, to stop, to withdraw from interference. God didn't rest because he was tired. An omnipotent being doesn't need a nap. He stopped because the work was complete. The creation had been spoken into existence, the seed had been planted, and any further action would have been tampering. This is where most people get the principle backwards. They think rest comes because you're exhausted from effort. The biblical model says something different. Rest comes because continuation would sabotage the outcome. Think about how a farmer operates. You till the soil, you plant the seed, you water it once, and then you walk away. You don't dig the seed up every morning to check if it's growing. You don't stand over the soil giving it a motivational speech. The seed has intelligence built into it. It knows how to become what it's meant to become. Your job after planting is to stop interfering. The Sabbath principle maps onto this with surgical precision. The 6 days represent the planting phase, the period where you clarify your intention, take aligned action, and speak your vision into the world. The 7th day represents the withdrawal of anxious effort. You've cast the seed. Now let the soil do its work. So what does planting a mental seed actually look like in practice? It starts with a decision. A real one. The kind where something clicks into place behind your sternum and the internal debate goes quiet. You decide what you want. You begin acting as though the process is already underway, and you engage with the world from that posture. That's the 6 days. That's the labor. The problem is that almost everyone skips the 7th day entirely. They plant the seed on Monday and dig it up by Wednesday. They set an intention, take a few steps toward it, and then spend every waking moment monitoring for evidence that it's working. That monitoring is the opposite of Sabbath. It's a withdrawal of trust from the process. And the anxiety that drives it actually functions like pulling the seed out of the ground, examining the roots, and wondering why nothing's sprouting. There's a passage in Mark, chapter 4, that most sermons gloss over. Jesus describes a man who scatters seed on the ground, then sleeps and rises night and day while the seed sprouts and grows. And then this line: he himself does not know how. The man has no idea how the mechanism works. He planted, he rested, and the ground produced. First the blade, then the ear, then the full grain. The sequence required his ignorance of the process. His job was to trust it, and trust meant stepping back. This connects to something psychologists have documented for decades. When you fixate on an outcome, you activate a monitoring loop that actually suppresses creative problem solving. Your mind shifts from generative mode to evaluative mode. You stop producing new ideas and start auditing the ones you already have. The mental posture of constant checking, is it working yet? Am I closer? Collapses the very openness that allows solutions to arrive. The Sabbath interrupts that loop, deliberately. Consider how many breakthroughs in history arrived during periods of rest. Archimedes in the bath, Newton under the apple tree, Auguste Kekulé dozing by the fire when the structure of benzene appeared in a dream. The pattern repeats across centuries and disciplines. The insight doesn't arrive during the grinding. It arrives after the grinding stops, when the mind finally unclenches and the subconscious delivers what it's been assembling in the background. Your brain processes information on 2 tracks. One is conscious, deliberate, and slow. The other operates beneath awareness, making connections across vast networks of stored experience. That second track does its best work when the first track shuts up. Every time you obsessively revisit your problem, you're drowning out the signal with noise. The Sabbath, the real Sabbath, is the practice of silencing the conscious monitor so the deeper process can surface its answer. There's a reason the commandment uses the word holy to describe the 7th day. In Hebrew, kadosh means set apart, separated from ordinary use. The rest period carries sacred weight because it's where the transformation actually happens. The 6 days of effort are preparation. The 7th day is where the seed cracks open underground. And this reframes something most people get wrong about faith. Faith gets talked about as belief without evidence, hoping really hard, positive thinking with a prayer attached. But in the biblical framework, faith is a specific action, planting and then refusing to dig. It's the discipline of entering rest while the outcome is still invisible. The farmer who sleeps while the seed grows isn't being lazy. He's exercising the highest form of trust available. Trust in a process he cannot see, cannot control, and frankly cannot even explain. Now apply this to your own life. You've probably had the experience of wanting something intensely, working toward it obsessively, and watching it stay stubbornly out of reach. Then you gave up, you let go, you stopped caring so much, and within weeks, sometimes days, the thing showed up. A relationship, a job offer, a creative solution you've been chasing for months. The moment you entered your own version of the Sabbath, the seed finally had room to grow. This pattern is so common it almost feels like a cruel joke. But viewed through the lens of this principle, it makes mechanical sense. Your anxious attention was the obstacle. Your surrender was the permission the process needed. The ancient rabbis had a concept called minutia, a deep settled rest that goes beyond physical stillness. Minutia is the state of a mind that has finished its creative work and knows it. There's no residual grasping, no compulsive review, no bargaining with the universe for a status update. The work is done. The word has been spoken. The seed is in the ground. And the person who planted it has moved into a posture of completion rather than anticipation. This is wildly counterintuitive in a culture that equates rest with laziness and busyness with virtue. We celebrate the grind. We admire the person who never stops hustling. But the biblical model suggests that perpetual effort without cessation is actually a form of unbelief. If you truly trusted the seed, you'd be able to walk away from the garden. The Sabbath was never a suggestion to take weekends off. It was an encoded instruction about the mechanics of creation itself. You speak, you act, you plant, and then you enter a rest so complete that it communicates one thing to every part of your being: it is finished. That phrase appears twice in Scripture with seismic weight. Once in Genesis, when creation is complete, once on the cross, at the moment of ultimate sacrifice. Both times, the words signal the same thing. The seed is in the ground, and what comes next requires surrender, burial, and a silence that feels like death before the resurrection arrives. Your next Sabbath starts the moment you stop digging.